G'day team, I wanted to talk to you today about a game called Mandragora by a company called Primal Game Studios who operate out of Budapest. It's an action RPG side-scroller. It's got really positive reviews so far on Steam, so I thought I would give it a go. The demo allows you to just play as one class, a warrior type character. And you don't get too many customization options, but in the full game it looks like there'll be a couple of different classes that you can choose from, and you'll be able to customize the appearance of your character a little bit. It's sort of a grim, dark fantasy setting, very Dark Soulsy, very gothic looking kind of vibe. Really like it actually. As you can see here, the art style's absolutely beautiful. Love the graphics. It's got checkpoints very similar to Dark Souls, campfires. The enemies respawn when you rest, I believe, although I didn't actually go back and check that, but I'm sure that is what happens. And you can spend skill points. So we're right at the start of the demo here, and it looks like they give you a skill point just for free to try out upgrading your character before you get to your first enemy, which is this guy. And so I'm still sort of trying to get the hang of the controls here, playing as a Dark Souls side-scroller. It's a little bit different, and being able to jump over enemies like a sort of traditional Metroidvania platformer. It seems to be a really nice blend between Souls-like side-scroller Metroidvania with beautiful graphics. I mean, you can see why the reviews would be so high on Steam, because that really is a winning formula from what I can tell. I'm really looking forward to the full game coming out. At the moment, the release date just says Q4 2024, so that could be any time between now and Christmas, really. Obviously, we don't want them to rush it. We'd like them to release it in as best state as possible, but this is certainly one that I'm going to be playing through, and I'm really looking forward to it. You can see here the platform kind of elements as I make my way down, gather some resources there. I'm presuming there must be some kind of crafting system, being able to upgrade equipment or craft equipment. I'm not too sure. I didn't come across it in the 10 minutes or so I spent with the demo. As you can see there, I died. Very Dark Soulsy. Go back to the last save point, last checkpoint, and I'm able to make my way back. Look how gorgeous that backdrop is. Look at it, it's stunning. But if I don't die, I can make my way back to the point where I was just killed, and it looks as though you sort of can collect all that experience that you've accumulated. Again, very Dark Souls, very Dark Souls. But hey, it's a winning formula, so don't mess with the winning formula. And in fact, this game has combined two absolutely banger winning formulas in terms of Dark Souls and Metroidvania. I know they're not the first ones to do it. There's other games like obviously Hollow Knight, Salt and Sanctuary, a few others that I've probably forgotten. I've tried those games and found them to be either a little bit too hardcore for me in terms of difficulty. I'm not, believe it or not, as a Souls veteran, I'm not that patient when it comes to insanely difficult difficulty. That's why Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, I've never finished the DLC, only the base games, because extreme difficulty doesn't really appeal to me. So I've never finished those games, but this one, from what I gather from the 10 or 15 minutes that I spent with it, the difficulty is really nice. It's obviously, you can't just run through and not look after your character, not block, not dodge, etc. But the combat is very satisfying, and the enemies don't one-shot you, at least not any that I've come across. So it's got a really nice difficulty curve, I guess you could say, from what I can see so far. And it just looks so beautiful. It really does. And I am a sucker for not technically impressive graphics, but certainly beautiful art that can really draw me into a game. From softer masters of that, you know, their games don't really push the envelope from a technology perspective, but they look gorgeous, the art style's brilliant, and this game certainly meets that criteria. It looks absolutely stunning, it's gorgeous. So I'm sort of making my way through this area. I don't know if this will be the first area that you play in the full game. We came into the game at level 4. Came into the demo, sorry, at level 4. So I'm not entirely certain whether this will be the very first area in the game or whether there might be sort of more of a tutorial type area.
No lockpicks.
But we're kind of exploring this city outskirts, and we make our way in. As you can see, typical Metroidvania, sort of some things there that I couldn't do, like opening that chest that I'm sure later on I'll find a key somewhere and I'll go back and I'll open that chest. I don't know if it was just a demo thing, but it seemed like every time I got to a save point I had one upgrade point. I don't know if that will be like that in the full game or whether you'll have to earn experience points and things like that. But certainly in the demo it seemed every time I got to a checkpoint I was able to spend one ability point. There are multiple skill trees. I think I do actually look at them later for each of the different classes. So obviously the demo is locked down to just this one class. And the skill trees look pretty big. It looks like you'll be able to really upgrade your character and customize it to how you want to play the game.
Where do you think you're going? Give you a choice, head or guts.
It should add a lot to replayability as well. It looks as though you could easily play through it a number of times with each different class. I don't know what the other classes are. Sorry, I didn't really look into that, but I'm sure they'll be the kind of the archetypal standard classes. Certainly I got the impression when I was making my way around this level that there's some areas that might be locked down depending on what class you choose. Certainly got that impression. I actually hope that that is the case, because that will really encourage you to do multiple playthroughs with different classes. So I hope that's the case. I know some people will want you to be able to access everything on one playthrough, but I like the idea of games tempting you to go back to them and see things that you couldn't see before because you're doing a different playthrough with a different character. I forgot that little item there, so I went back and got it, and I had a little explore at the top of this ladder to see where I was supposed to go. I think this bit is where I got a little bit lost, and I did this. Woo! Splat. You are dead. The great news is it loads really quickly, so you're straight back into it. And by this point in time, I was getting a bit arrogant with my estimation of my abilities with the combat system, and I got hit a few times because I thought I was better than I actually am. Typical Dunning-Kruger Souls experience. You get a bit overconfident, and the game will give you a little pat on the head and put you back in your box. So that's classic Souls. That's how you learn not to be too cocky. I went and killed this archer guy again. I like the fact that you can knock the enemies off ledges. I think that's potentially something you could use against stronger enemies later in the game, maybe. And this time I didn't just blindly jump off a ledge, so that would be my first gameplay tip. Do not blindly jump off ledges, because you will probably die. Much more sensible to drop down and have an explore. As you can see, I'm sort of picking things up, but can't really use them in the demo. I'm sure in the full game you'll have a lot more options with upgrading equipment and crafting and things. I'm really excited to explore that. And I finally figured out here that you do a little jump up there to get onto these higher platforms. These guys are cool. They're slow. They're beastie. They hit like a freight train. But the dodge mechanic is really responsive. It's really, really nice to both block and to dodge roll. Dodge rolling does use stamina, typical Souls. And that caught me out a few times. You can forget that you're playing a Souls game sometimes, and you forget you've got a stamina bar to manage. But it gives you a really nice little green glow effect around the edge of the screen when you're running low on stamina. I really like that because it's a really nice visual cue that you need to be a bit more conservative with your stamina usage. So very, very nice design decision there. I really like that. So we got to a checkpoint and then we were able to level up. I don't know too much about the leveling system. I don't want to get too much into that because I don't want to spoil the main game. But here you can see I'm looking through the different skill trees. So it would appear that you have a different skill tree for whatever your character build is. Whether it's like Elden Ring and you can just put points into anything, I'm not sure. But as I say, I kind of didn't want to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for when I actually get this game, because I will 100% be buying the full game and playing this right the way through. It really has excited me. I was sort of worried about what games to play. I'm currently playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I was a bit worried about what am I going to play next. Hopefully this will come along and fill that gap, and this will be my game for the next couple of weeks. So I took care of those guys, had a little wander down here. Now I should point out you might see a few jumps, and that's just where I edited out boring things where I was like looking at the controls or practicing different moves and things like that, so it's a bit boring. So if you spot the odd little jump, that's why that's happening. I'm not cutting out any important gameplay. So we come down into this sewer area. Again, graphically, absolutely beautiful. Looks very noxious and very grimy. Great graphical art style. A couple of those sort of goblin troll enemies. I'm not sure what they are. Sure there'll be lore explainers for a lot of this in the full game as well. And you can scoot down the ladder. Always a good mechanic to have in a game, because ladders are boring. A couple of bandits down here too. You may have noticed earlier on, hopefully I wasn't speaking over it, the bandits can be a bit sweary. They do swear, so this is definitely a game for adults, not for kids. But I didn't get the impression at any point during the demo that it was trying to be a bit edgy or anything like that. You know, they weren't just throwing swear words around for the sake of it. Which is good. We don't want that kind of thing. I love how the light is coming in through that archway in the background there. It's very, very beautiful. The camera is really nice. And here's what I think is a boss. Although there was no like boss health bar or anything like that, it certainly felt a bit like a boss fight. And this guy, you'll see, he spews out little rats at you, and you have to kill them. I wasn't quite able to work out whether I'm doing any damage to him or whether you just have to kill all of the little baby rats that he pukes up and sends flying at you. But it was cool. Very cool little fight. Oh, he was still going. I think I thought I'd killed him then. Nope, he was still had a bit of fight left in him. So we finally give him the old uppercut skadoosh. So you got two attacks by the looks of it. You've got your X and your Y button, and they do a light and a heavy attack. I actually mainly just use the light attack. I only use the heavy attack very rarely. I'm sure in the main game probably use it a lot more. And that's an example, that ledge there is an example of where I think maybe with different abilities or classes you'll be able to get to things that this class in the demo wasn't able to get to.
Get younger all the time, they do. This one must have been ripped straight from his mother's tit before they slapped the helmet on him.
It's got a very gritty, dark Game of Thrones kind of vibe to some of the dialogue. I really like it. And this bit is where for the first time I come across an enemy mage, and she's casting some kind of spell that I think will be pretty bad for me if I get hit by it. Luckily I didn't get hit because my dodge rolling is absolute peak. I am a god gamer. But for a normal human, you might get hit by that a few times. Not me. I'm joking there, by the way. I'm not anything special. But a very cool mix of enemies. The game has really nailed down the kind of enemy archetypes. So you can see we've come across like monsters, melee bandits, archery bandits, and now mages, and then the big heavies. And so it's got a nice enemy variety, and I can imagine throughout the game you kind of are going to come across different combinations of those, and that will present you with different challenges that you've got to work your way past. Really nice approach. Great enemy design. And then I got killed, and I'm not sure what killed me. Okay, so there you go. That's Mandragora. Looks really, really good. Very impressive mix of Dark Souls with that kind of gothic, grimdarky art style, beautiful graphics, and the Metroidvania elements. Really looking forward to the full game coming out. We'll play it to death, I suspect. It should come out at some point between now and Christmas. I've got it on my Steam wish list. I would recommend that if you like Souls games and Metroidvanias, then you add it to your wish list as well, and I will no doubt live stream it here on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Take care, bye bye.